Nobody can make me have a different opinion about this God. God healed me of avascular necrosis. For the ladies, it is avascular necrosis of the hip bone, and for the guys, it is avascular necrosis of the shoulder. God healed me. I was bedridden for 3.5 years. This is my story. Let me give you guys a background of the story. I was born a sickle cell. I was born with sickle cell, sorry to say. That means the SS gene, because you have different types of genes. So the SS gene. So obviously my parents were AS and AS, but unknown to them. They never had the awareness of AS cannot settle with AS, you get. So there was no awareness at the point of my birth. Okay, so my parents had 5 kids. Okay, 5 kids, and we out of the 5 kids, we are 3 that are SS gene. Okay, sickle cell warriors. Okay, so out of these 3, I am the first sickle cell warrior in my family. So, and you know, this sickle cell, it varies from person to person, you get. So mine was the most complicated out of these 3 of us. So let me give you a breakdown. Like, out of the 5, the first is free, the second, me, SS, the third is free, the fourth has it, and the last has it. Okay, so this is how it is. You can't really tell which kid will come first with the SS gene. Alright, so at age 6 months, according to my mom, that was where I was diagnosed of sickle cell. That was when she gave birth to me. I was having series of pain. You know, when a child is having discomfort, crying always, not eating, and there are some signs: swelling of the hands, swelling of the feet, bloated stomach, indigestion, and all that. You know, restless, sleepless nights, and all that. So she has been on and off to the hospital, not until 6 months when a doctor asked for genotype test. So that was where uh it dawned on everyone that this is what exactly is wrong with this child. So that is the journey of my life. So I grew up to know myself. All that period, I usually have excruciating pains. It's called crisis. Yes, painful episode is called crisis. Okay, then countless blood transfusions, countless hospital admissions, you know, sleepless nights. So it affected many things. My personal life, it affected the family, the finance, you know. So I didn't have a social life because I was always indoors. I didn't also know how to wear skimpy wears, you know, to expose your body parts, you know, and all that, wearing shorts and all that. Why? Because the weather is not favorable. When it's cold, it's not favorable, so it affects my health. So my education too was affected because I can resume school with my mates, and I may go to for a whole term. I may go to school for a week or 2, and the remaining will be spent in the hospital. So every month, when I was growing up, every month, no month would pass without me being hospitalized. That it was that bad that we had a family hospital, we had a family doctor. So even if my dad is not around, even if my mom is not around, when the crisis starts, I just have to just find my way to the hospital. So, and I'll be treated, and the bills will be sorted out after. So I grew up like this with this brief things I've told you. When the crisis comes like this, one, he doesn't give notice. You don't have a pre-notice that, okay, It just comes. You can just see a child bubbling, playing around, and before you know it, that child just go, hmm, my hand is paining me, my leg is paining me, and before you know it, the whole body, and that child will be crying and crying and crying and crying, because that's the only way you can express yourself. Cry. So the next thing will be hospital immediately. But you know, there are times that there was no money to go to the hospital. There were times that the three of us will be down at the same time. The three of us will be hospitalized the same time. I will be in the female ward, my younger brother will be in the male ward, and my baby sister will be in the pediatric ward. And may God rest his soul, I lost my younger brother 4 years ago to sickle cell. Okay, that makes me more passionate talking about sickle cell. Okay, so that was how I lived, with so much pain, so much, you know. So fast forward to when I grew up to know myself after I was done with secondary school. I had a painful experience. There are different complications I suffered. Yes, there are other complications I suffered. There are many near-death experience which I will be giving it in the different episodes. So this episode 1. So I had this major complication that changed the course of my life. After I was done with secondary school, I had a normal fever, like it was like a normal fever, but we didn't know it would degenerate into something worse. So it started with fever, malaria. So I was treating malaria, you know. So I was placed on 3 days injection in the evenings. So I'll be taken to the hospital in the evening for injection. Day 1 passed, day 2. Then on the last day, I can vividly remember my uncle, one of my uncles, drove me down to the hospital to take the last dose. So when we got the last dose, getting home, just for me to get into the sitting room, at the entrance, you know, the front door, I fell. So that was how I was rushed back to the hospital, you know, with so much pain, and the doctor checked. And funny enough, the first thing that will come out from the doctor after checking up, observing me and all that, he just said, He spoke to my mom, like, please, you need to rush her immediately. As at this time, we had relocated to Abuja, Nigeria. You need to take her immediately to either National Hospital or Gwagwalada Specialist Hospital. Out of these two, and it has to be that night. And the time of this is saying this time was like 8 p.m. So imagine where I was living is very far, a very far distance to where National Hospital is, or to Gwagwalada Specialist Hospital. So we're given a referral letter to go to any of this, but we couldn't go to any of these hospitals. We went back home that night because we were not prepared, you know, that if we don't go immediately, I may never walk with my feet again. Whoa. The devil is a liar. That I will never walk with my feet again. And my mom was like, doctor, how? As in, can you just explain to us what is it? That is the only thing we say. When we go to any of those hospitals, we'll get the details of what he's talking about. So it was the next day, very early in the morning. We got ready and we moved. So out of the two, we had to choose. So we ended up going to Gwagwalada Specialist Hospital. So that was where I was emergency admission, and there are several tests, you know, were run, x-rays, you know, do all that, you know, all that comes with hospital palaver. Okay, so it was there that I was told that I'm suffering from avascular necrosis. Guys, it wasn't funny. I was on constant pain 24 hours. I was on constant pain. Like you can not touch, you can't touch me. Like you can't touch any part of my body. Like I was on constant pain, crying day in, day out. So the only time that I stay calm is when I will be injected. The highest painkiller, morphine, was used. It didn't work. Like guys, it didn't work. It just lasted like an hour, and the pain will come back again. So by and large, medicine failed. It wasn't working. Nothing was working again, guys. Okay, so I was being carried about like that. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything, like nothing. I couldn't even raise my hand. I was being turned in bed. I was being carried out of bed to use the toilet and all that. So it was that bad. So, uh, but one thing that kept me going, my faith in God, guys. That period I was called woman of faith because my confession, anytime I had time to even talk, I was always saying, I will come out of this. I will come out of this. So people were like, the people around my family, prayers was the only thing. While we're in the hospital, the prayers, 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 prayers. So doctors tried all they could. Then the point where I knew that it has to be God and God alone. One day, the doctor came to check, my consultant came to check on me with other doctors. I was in pain that morning, as in intense pain. I was crying. So I held the doctor's hands, like, doctor, please help me. Like, please, this pain is too much. And what would the doctor tell me? You can see the way I gripped my hands. Like, that was how I gripped that doctor's hands. What would the doctor tell me? He said, Mary, in my 25 years of medical practice, I have never seen this type. And guys, I became weak immediately. My hand just fell off like this. I just left him. Like, if it is my own doctor, the doctor working on me, the consultant working on me, that is telling me to my face that he has not seen this type, then there's no hope. Hey, this God is good though. There is no hope. I was like, okay, it dawned on me. Now, I now realize that, okay, doctors have failed, medicine has failed. Now, God, it has to be you and you alone. Immediately after the doctors left, I just called my mom. I said, Mom, please take me home. As at this time, I've done 1 month already in the hospital. Please take me home. I do not want to stay here. If I will die, let me die at home. Please take me home. It was against medical advice to leave the hospital at the state I was. So my mom called the nurse and that wants to get discharged, and nurse was like, no madam, we can't discharge her. The doctors will not allow that. So when the doctors came, we told, and they were like, they made my mom to sign an order ticket that if anything happens to me at home, because it's against their own medical advice, so my mom will be held responsible. I was like, yes, because I had gotten to the crossroad, guys. I had gotten to the crossroad. It is either God or nothing else. So I told my mom, let's go home. Take me home. And that was it. They agreed, and we went. Guys, my wilderness journey began. I didn't know it would last for 3.5 years. Hey God. So we went home, and I think I'll just be cutting some things up, and started my journey. I'll be in bed. I couldn't even move, nothing. I'll be fed. I'll be given water. As in, I just laid still like this, face up, my head face up, like my back on the bed. You get, so that was how. I couldn't move by the side by myself. No, I couldn't do that. So the nurses were always telling me in the hospital I should beware of bed sores. That as there is no breeze touching my back, and that it can result to bed sores. And that when I get bed sores, guys, that this pain that I'm feeling, it will be times two, because bed sores is very painful. Well, I didn't have the strength to do that, and my people didn't have the mind to turn me. Guys, you need to hear when I cry. Gosh, as in, you'll be in the distance, you will hear my cry. I was constantly in pain. So imagine that type of life. So at that point, before I knew what to do, I was depressed. I was like, God, then let me just die. Yes, I was praying for that. God, let me just die. Just help me end this agony. Help me to end this pain. It's too much. Why should I suffer like this? Why should I go through this pain? I I must be given a tablet to sleep. I couldn't sleep natural. Do you get? So it was that bad. I was macheting, like I became skeleton. I became skeleton. As in, then, to make matters worse, my backbone. Now let me tell you guys how I will do. I will do a practical. Yeah, my forehead. So I don't want you to imagine it first before I do that. My forehead was touching my kneecap. Do you understand that? My forehead was touching my. That's if I stand. If I'm being carried, I'm being helped to stand. One person will stand by my left hand, one person stand by my right hand, to stand, trying to see if I could walk. My forehead will be on my kneecap. That was how bent I was. So, for the sake of, that was how it was. So I could, my body were all bones. My body were all bones. I couldn't sit, because if I sit on chair, at that time we didn't have a cushion. It was this plastic chair. So when I sit on the chair, my my buttocks was is hard, so the chair is hard. So they needed to put blankets. My mom would fold blankets, yeah, or pillow, yes, just so that to give me that support, so that I'll feel comfortable instead of always lying in bed. Do you get? So that was how bad it was. I was praying for death to come, but death didn't come. So for the sake of, I'll be breaking this story into different episodes, guys. You get? So this is episode 1. Watch out for the next episode. Don't miss it.